This week, there's been this huge brouhaha between Carlos Maza of Vox and Steven Crowder, who is a professional victim and a one-trick pony, and his only thing, his only claim to fame is trying to harass people to the point that they finally take action and try to get YouTube to deplatform him. And then of course, once they try to deplatform him, he pretends as if his free speech rights are being violated and that he's really this great guy and he's just a comedian. He's not funny, he's not talented. Again, he's a one-trick pony. We all know this, we covered the story this week. Now there is a development. Recently, David Pakman, who's a progressive and a friend of the show, went on Joe Rogan's podcast and this topic came up. And they brought up, or I should say Rogan brought up, the harassment toward Dave Rubin. Take a look.
Is that different, in your opinion, than someone singling something out for what you believe is their mental incompetency?
Well, mental incompetent, do you mean that they're ignorant or that they're mentally ill or cognitively limited?
Cognitively limited, mocking their ability to think, mocking their intelligence, mocking their decisions, mocking the way they talk, and then encouraging other people to do the same thing. And then that person gets harassed based on their intelligence, based on their performance on particular YouTube videos and conversations. And there's active harassers. There's people that do that. Is there a difference between, say, what Sam Seder does to Dave Rubin?
What does Sam do to Dave Rubin?
He has,
I don't know that I've seen that video.
Dozens of videos. Don't say that video. He has dozens of videos where he's just dunking on Dave Rubin.
So I will say that Sam Seder and Michael Brooks do have dozens of videos where they dunk on Dave Rubin. Dave Rubin does not have any type of mental health condition, right? Dave Rubin is a perfectly healthy human who has decided to be a grifter. So the dunking is about the fact that Dave Rubin is a grifter. It's not about the fact that he's gay. It's not about the way he looks. It's not about any of that. It's about his incredibly lazy grifting because he doesn't even do the legwork to educate himself on the talking points necessary to be a grifter.
Right, you're asking, is there a difference between going after people based on who they are versus what they do?
Right.
And the answer is yes.
You just described
that's the difference.
Right.
Dave Rubin, whom I used to know, somebody that I used to know, is it's all what he's chosen to do poorly. And what anyone in the Sam Seder and Michael Brooks videos, what they point out is the failings of Dave Rubin to articulate the thought process necessary to believe what he believes, and he doesn't do it. He doesn't understand any of these things because he's grifting them. He didn't sit down and think and go, you know what? I've come to a giant epiphany.
Right.
He's doing a paint by numbers and he can't even do that.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And yes, the dunking happens, but the whole point of what Sam Seder and Michael Brooks do is to make sure that they basically debunk the nonsense that they're hearing from Dave Rubin's show. Because Dave Rubin keeps trying to present himself as a so-called classical liberal, even though there's that notorious Reddit Ask Me Anything where he couldn't even define or explain what classical liberal means. So he bowed out of it pretty early. And so it's important for people to know, like, is the information I'm getting from this person actual information? Is this person an honest actor? And the whole point of what Sam Seder does is to make sure that people know this is not an honest actor. He's not even genuine in anything he's saying. He's not even saying anything, really, when you listen to him.
So remember earlier we were talking about like count your blessings. So these are these tech corporations, but hey, it's a company, a corporation that doesn't want homophobia on their platform. So everyone else left, be lucky, consider yourself lucky that they allow dumb people. Like that, it's like, count your blessings.
But they do, so YouTube had this weird thing that I don't even fully understand yet, but essentially they said, if your primary, they let Crowder stay up for a while. They reached out to Maza and they said, hey, we're looking into this after Maza posted just a run of homophobic slurs and just the word gay used, but specifically the word queer. And that is a slur. The reason that the name of like academic branches of different universities are called queer studies is it's a way to reclaim a word that was used pejoratively in the past.
Right.
And so there is a difference there.
Of course.
Crowder is using the pejorative. He is using the slur. It just hasn't reached that level where people don't say it. It hasn't reached a level like the N-word where people don't even say it.
Right.
But Crowder is using it that way. That shirt he's wearing right now says socialism is for F words. And it's got Che Guevara with a hand doing this, and you can't see it, but he sells that on his website, which he promotes through YouTube. YouTube let him keep that stuff up there. They're like, we're not taking it down because his primary reason for doing it was debate, even though ancillary to that were the slurs. And then they turned around and demonetized Crowder, which, I don't know how Dave Rubin defines classic liberalism or capitalism or whatever, but this is like a purely capitalistic approach where YouTube's saying, well, you can have your free speech, we're just not gonna pay you for it.
That's right.
And that's all Dave Rubin's in it for anyway.
That's right.
They took away, like that's what Crowder's in it for and that's what Rubin's in it for.
So let's go to the next video because there's more to this story.
So I have some as well. I believe that they are substantive. That's my view, is that my videos about Dave Rubin are substantive. To your first question, there is a difference between going after someone for sexual orientation, right, than going after them for the fact that they say things that are wrong or don't know stuff, until you're making fun of someone who has an actual handicap of some kind of, cognitive limitation that would be a disability of some kind. Then you are mocking someone for a disability.
But the resulting effect of the harassment, see, this is what I was getting at before with Crowder. Like, what Crowder said was one thing, but one of the things that Carlos Maza was just discussing was what the people that had watched Crowder, what they were doing, how they were going after him.
Which, if you look at Maza's complaint, that's not what he was complaining about. He's like, I'm not mad about that. I got pretty thick skin when it comes to this stuff.
About Crowder.
He is saying, like, there are a lot of people, the doxing is against policy, and if anyone doxes Dave Rubin, or if anyone doxes anybody, there should be consequences to that. And I do think that it's just frustrating to see all of this, because what Rogan's trying to do is say, what about people, if people are mad at Dave Rubin and people are mad at Steven Crowder, isn't that the same thing?
And it's not.
And that's not even remotely the point. Maza's mad that YouTube has rainbow flags on their logo during Pride, and they have all these messages in their terms of service saying you can't use homophobic slurs. And everyone, just look at 3 comments down in the Twitter thread or whatever, and it'll be people saying, here is a screen cap of the terms of service, and here's how it's violated. Maza was upset that YouTube didn't live up to YouTube's own standards.
Right, and there, by the way, we're on YouTube. Obviously, YouTube is a great platform for people who want to do independent content. But at the same time, I think part of the problem, and I mentioned this in the original video, is that they don't apply their guidelines, or they don't enforce their guidelines, I think, equally. And it seems like they're doing it kind of here and there. They're applying it with some situations, they're not applying it with other situations. So they have to be clear, and it needs to be applied consistently. There's a lack of consistency, and I think that that's also leading to a lot of frustration and anger. But I agree with both of you. I mean, to compare dunking on Dave Rubin to what Carlos Maza went through is ridiculous. And by the way, I want to give you a specific example of what the dunking looks like when it comes to Dave Rubin. Again, Dave Rubin is a professional grifter. And one of the things that he did was he agreed to participate in a pro-Bolsonaro propaganda video on YouTube, right? So he does that, and then a few days later, a week later, sometime later, one of his own viewers asks him about Jair Bolsonaro, who is now, unfortunately, the elected leader of Brazil. And so he's reading the question, he's like, Jair Bolsonaro, and yeah, he got dunked on for that because you just did a propaganda video for him, homeboy. How do you not know who he is?
And
so you're calling him out for the grifting. It's not about what he looks like or the fact that he's gay. It's about what he does for a living, how dishonest he is, and also more importantly, how he won't even do the legwork necessary to be a good grifter.
Right, that's what's so frustrating. It's like, just read up on your BS, dude. Just know your BS better.
Right. This conversation is frustrating for me because it's nothing. It's a nothing burger. It's nothing. No, not us. But just none of these people are that stupid. I may have to take him out of that box. That was fascinating, the Bolsonaro situation. But separate from that, I don't think any of these people are that stupid. They're hateful. And it's this, but why? When someone says, hey, you know what, it's a little too far. That's it. And Joe Rogan doesn't think that he doesn't think that this hate and calling someone out for doing something stupid are the same thing. He doesn't care because he likes it. He likes his platform. He likes what he talks. I don't think any of these people are that stupid.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know.
We'll see.
And with Rogan, he does a lot of like talking and asking and playing devil's advocate sometimes. But in this, I couldn't help but get the feeling that he was like, I've got you. Both of these things are the same, isn't it? And
it felt real.
And it felt real.
It did feel real.
It felt
but
real
what's
to you
frustrating
too?
from our point of view is that like, since we're engaging this, since the Sam Cedars and Michael Brookses and us, when we engage this kind of stuff, we're just trying to say there's ignorance out there that they're spreading falsely and without integrity, and we have integrity, so we're going to tell people about it. But from YouTube's point of view, now we're in a back and forth in the same category. And when they come to demonetize stuff, their AI isn't quite there yet, and they're just like, we might just get rid of all of it.
And that's part of the issue. I mean, they rely on the algorithms to do this, and it's not a foolproof method, as we know, which is why they don't apply the standards consistently. One final thing, look, obviously we do a little bit of dunking on Dave Rubin as well, but I also want to note that it took years for us to finally respond. Dave Rubin went on Rogan's show and lied about us, lied about what we do, right? He's the one who's been bad-mouthing us for years, and it literally took at least 2 years for me to finally feel like, okay, I can't take it anymore, I need to respond.
And to be fair, Rogan's the one who is like, so let me ask you some questions about your own BS. And Dave Rubin flails. So I get it. This is not like solely a Rogan thing, but when Dave Rubin gets in there, it gets very frustrating.
On the go? Don't worry, we got you covered. You can still listen to TYT at our new podcast network. Find us on Apple Podcasts, the Google Play Store, or at tyt.com/podcast.